Call the meeting to order.
Okay, welcome to the Queen Anne's County Commissioners meeting. This is a public meeting that is being aired live on our local cable television station, QACTV 7. These media broadcasts provide county citizens an opportunity to watch and review our scheduled public sessions. In addition to our live audience this evening, we are providing remote options for citizens to watch and participate in county commissioner meetings. Citizens may watch our meetings live on our website at qac.org/live or on our public access governmental television channel provided by Breezeline Cable Services. Citizens may also participate by joining the live Zoom meeting by going to qac.org/public comment. Citizens may also email comments to publiccomment@qac.org. All comments received will be summarized during the press and public comment period on tonight's agenda. We acknowledge everyone's participation, and by attending, you acknowledge that this session is both recorded and aired. Press and public comment will be taken and is limited to 3 minutes per person. If you do care to speak, please sign up at the information table in our lobby. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing for the Commissioner's review. We will now stand and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Commission President Chris Corcorino.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Commissioners, that brings us to the approval of tonight's agenda for our meeting on May 13th. So that has been submitted along with all the minutes from the regular session minutes and the closed session minutes from the April 22nd meeting. They've been circulated for everyone's review. Do you have any additions or corrections?
Motion to accept the agenda and minutes as submitted.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 4 in favor. One not here. Commissioner Dumo has not returned from the conclave, so we were going forward without him.
Thank you, Commissioners.
That's not where he was? I thought.
All right, we just had a closed session under the General Provisions Article, Section 3305B7, to consult with counsel, and Section 3305B1 to discuss boards and commissions. And I believe we have some boards and commissions for appointments.
We're going to start with the Bay Bridge Airport Advisory Committee. I move to reappoint Jason Jarvey to fill.
We were skipping that one.
No, we're going to put him in there.
good with it?
We have another opening.
We're doing the
Oh,
one
okay.
and then.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
To fill the vacancy on the advisory committee. His term will expire on June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next one is the Board of Appeals Building. I move to reappoint Scott Kozo to fill a vacancy on the Board of Building Appeals. This vacancy will expire on December 31st, 2027.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We have one more vacancy on the Board of Appeals that nobody has applied for, so if anybody's interested, please reach out to Stephanie after the meeting.
Thank you. Board of Electrical Examiners. I move to reappoint Harry Langway and appoint Matthew Shuey and Gregory Roberts to fill the vacancies on the Board of Electrical Examiners. These terms will expire on June 30th, 2030.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Board of License Commissioners, the Liquor Board. I move to reappoint Thomas Berry and Charlie Farrar to fill the vacancies on the Board of License Commissioners, the Liquor Board. These terms will expire June 30th of 2029.
Second.
You got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
So the next one's a Broadband Advisory Council. I move to reappoint Dion Reed in District 4 and appoint Raymond Payne in District 2 to fill the vacancies on the Broadband Advisory Council. These terms will expire March 31st, 2028.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Commission on Aging. I move to appoint Vashti Hughes to the Commission on Aging. This term will expire December 31st, 2029.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And this one also has still a vacancy, so if anybody knows someone, love to have them. Department of Emergency Services Advisory Council. Okay, this one we are reappointing Gabriel Ripley, Ben Hammock, and Steve Souter. And Steve Souter will be the at-large for the committee, and we are appointing Joseph Travalia to fill the vacancies on the Department of Emergency Services Advisory Council. These terms will expire on June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
The next one is the Economic Development Incentive Fund Commission. I move to reappoint Mike Whitehill and Patrick Perry to fill the vacancies on the Economic Development Incentive Fund Commission. These terms will expire May 31st of 2028.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I think the Ethics Commission, I move to appoint Nancy Lynott to the Ethics Commission with a term expiring December 31st, 2029.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
So now we're going to go to the Property Tax Assessment Appeals Board. I move to recommend that Vito Tonelli, Peter McCardle, and Edwin Zadura to be appointed to fill the vacancies on the Property Tax Assessment Appeals Board. These terms will expire June 30th of 2030.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
That's it.
That's it.
All right, very well done. All right, Commissioners, I think our first scheduled agenda item.
Press public comment?
Oh, excuse me. Oh, you have some, okay.
Yep, we got two.
All right. Get ahead of myself here. So, we appreciate all citizens for taking time to express views to the County Commissioners. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing. This commission respects everyone's desire and right to convey messages freely. When you come forward, please speak clearly at the standing microphone, state your name, your address, and your topic of interest. In keeping with the dignity of the office, we ask that all views be expressed in a respectful and civil manner.
All right, Jason Anthony.
Good evening, County Administrator, Commissioners. I'm just here tonight to speak real quickly about Fire Chief, Graceville Volunteer Fire Department, if I know you guys up there know that. But anyway, the Graceville Volunteer Fire Department has been working with Cahovanian. They're looking at developing the Ewing Farm in Graceville across from the Graceville Elementary School. So we have a commitment agreement from Cahovanian to make a very sizable donation to the fire department if and when their proposed development is approved. So it's twofold. So it'll be that upfront donation when it gets approved. And then we've also worked out with them a monthly fee per house for the HOA. That's something we've been doing here over the last 5 to 10 years to try to supplement funding and assist the fire department with funding the projects and to try to catch up with inflation. So just here tonight to express what we've got worked out with Cahovanian, and we look forward to working through them through the process. That's all I got. I don't know if you guys have any questions about that.
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
You want to make a pitch for your crab feast?
Yeah, Crab Feast, Graceville, I got 3 seconds, 33, no.
You're all right.
Crab Feast, June 21st, tickets are selling fast, there's about 40 left. It's all you can eat, it's $60 a person at the Graceville VFW, so,
Hold me too.
got you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just as a reminder to everybody, some people who've moved to Queen Anne's County more recently don't know this, and you might have moved here from areas that have paid fire departments. Queen Anne's County has only volunteer fire departments, that's all. So we rely on citizens. If there's a fire in the middle of the night, it's the citizens who come out and they rescue you, or if there's a car accident. And they rely on the citizens to make donations to keep those volunteer fire departments going. The county contributes some too, but it's really important. So if you see the firehouse and they're doing a chicken dinner or whatever they're doing, crab feast, support your volunteer fire department because they're going to be there when you need them most, so you need to be there for them. So thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Jay Falstead.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jay Falstead, Queen Anne's Conservation Association. I, too, want to talk about K. Hovanian. I support everything Commission President just said, except in this circumstance, instead of having citizen volunteers submit their financial contributions, we should never find ourselves in a place where we're allowing companies like K. Hovanian to buy their way into the program. It's already happened once before. I hope it doesn't happen again, but I want to speak to the environmental issues about K. Hovanian. I mentioned this last time. This company has 579 Clean Water Act violations to their name. 79 of those exist in Maryland. They had a major Clean Water Act violation in Queen Anne's County just a few years ago. I think it was back in 2017. That made a mess of Macomb Creek. And more recently, they've had 2 violations on the K. Hovanian Four Seasons property with forest conservation, something regarding the taking of trees. Given that as background, with all of those violations, why on earth would we even consider allowing this company to come in with the opportunity to do it again? So I urge the commissioners, you have 2 development proposals in front of you tonight. I urge you to reject both of them because they're not doing anything for the county. But in the circumstance of K. Hovanian, this is a known violator. We would not let any other violator in Queen Anne's County with that kind of sordid record to do business in the county. And so we should not do it here. I hope you'll say no. And thanks for the time.
Thank you. All right, that'll close press and public comment. I think we have the time now. We could go to the plastic-free, or does the other guest here?
I think we're all here now.
We're here. We're all. Everybody's. Which are we doing first?
We can just go right down the agenda. So first up,
Okay.
we have, if you want to turn to your legislative section in your books, Commissioner, that'd be tab number 7. The first item on the agenda under legislation is the Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan Informational Meeting. We have 2 projects. The first one is Barnstable, the Lowry Farm, and I believe everybody is here for that project. So, gentlemen, if you want to come on up, Joe. I'm sorry, Barnstable's first, yes. So, Ryan, I guess that's Ryan. And, yeah.
Chris, I thought we were speaking here.
Yeah, you come on up to the table. Yeah, come on up. Yeah. Got your presentation teed up over here. Yeah.
Slides.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'd like to start by introducing myself. I'm Ryan Showalter, joined by John Vigliani and Carson Weiss. John is the principal of DNF Development, which is the applicant. Carson, while he's getting his presentation keyed up, is a principal with Tischler Weiss, which is a economic analysis firm which prepared a fiscal impact study on both projects that are before you tonight in response to the questions that you presented a few months ago. The Barnstable project is an application to go from S3 to S2. It proposes 82 townhomes on Main Street or Route 18 in Chester. It's property, the property is principally zoned town center. This is a use that's permitted by right by the existing zoning. The project underwent months of review by the county staff and planning commission and received concept plan approval in October of 24. As you know from the hearing you had before, the county planning commission unanimously recommended approval of this water and sewer plan amendment. The concept plan has been confirmed to be consistent with the water and sewer plan to date, the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, and also consistent with the county's zoning and subdivision regulations. The project avoids any impacts to environmentally sensitive areas. All of the use and density considerations are permitted by right. The project requires 20,500 gallons of capacity, which staff have confirmed is available. The staff report before you notes that there are no anticipated off-site water or sewer infrastructure issues associated with the proposal. And at your December meeting, there was a request for information about fiscal impact. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bice to address that, but at a very high level, using a very conservative analysis, this project will result in a net surplus to the county of over $7 million over the 20-year study period. With that, introduce Carson.
Thank you, Ryan. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'm Carson Bice with Tischler Bice. I'm going to apologize in advance. I thought Aspire was going first, so I have all my assumption slides in there, but I'll just wing it from here. A little bit about us. We're based in Bethesda, Maryland, and Boise, Idaho, and we have a unique specialty focused on cost of growth issues, primarily fiscal and economic impact, as well as impact fees and infrastructure financing. And we've done more of that type of work than any firm, and we've certainly done more in Maryland, most recently Anne Arundel, Calvert, Carroll County, Charles, Frederick County, among others. As I said, I'm going to go through our sort of boilerplate assumption slides, which aren't part of this presentation. They're part of the Aspire presentation, because I thought that was going first. I apologize.
We have it on some.
We can switch it up.
Can we
yeah.
switch that out?
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll
great.
switch it
That
up.
would be
Yeah,
awesome.
certainly.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
No worries.
Joe, do you want to do
I thought we had the Barnstable up there.
we'll just get confused if we start.
Yeah, we can do this.
There you go.
The other one.
No, the other one. No, I think you had the right one up.
Yeah.
Go back. Barnstable, that's what we need. Barnstable.
But no, we're going to do these boilerplate, but because the assumptions are the same for both.
Gotcha.
Or sort of the methodology is the same for both, and so.
Gotcha, okay.
And then we'll switch back to when we get to the actual fiscal results.
Gotcha.
But again, this shows our fiscal clients in the state of Maryland. In terms of the process, there was discussion with the developer regarding the development program and the assumptions associated with construction costs, market values, those types of things. Agreements, or we met with county staff to agree on the fiscal parameters in terms of methodology and assumptions that would go into the analysis. We then developed those level of service assumptions for both costs and revenues. We designed the fiscal model and then prepared fiscal impact report. The other assumptions are we define levels of service using your current fiscal year 2025 budget. There's no inflation rate. It's very common to use what we call a snapshot approach in these types of fiscal analyses. We're trying to seek to understand, given the way we're funding infrastructure and revenues and services today, can we afford to provide that into the future under those same assumptions. We did look at a 20-year absorption schedule, and the funds we included in the analysis include the general fund. We modeled the entire Board of Education budget, just not the county's contribution, and we also looked at your various impact fee funds. Some of the major revenue assumptions, income tax, the way we typically do that in Maryland, and we had some in-depth conversations, not only with the developer, but also members of staff. It's a function of the market value or what the income is that you need to afford the types of units at the different price points for both developments. We assume that the county's current income tax rate remains unchanged over that 20-year analysis period, as the same assumption with the tax rate and the assessed value percentage as well are held constant over the 20-year period. Assumptions regarding transfer and recordation tax, because in Maryland those are significant revenues to local governments. Based on the most recent data we've been able to procure for the state of Maryland, there's currently an average of a 12-year turnover rate on homes. That has increased over time. In my 30 years that I've been working in Maryland, it used to be 7 in the late 90s. We also made the assumption that 50% of the home buyers are first-time homeowners. And then from Board of Education perspective, we assume that the county's local contribution, or for lack of a better term, maintenance of effort, continues at the current fiscal year 2025 rate of $10,238 per student. Now, if we could switch back to the other.
Is that the 12-year turn rate? That's state trend or county trend?
Statewide trend, yes. So, summary of the Barnstable fiscal results. We do have a 3-year absorption schedule beginning in 2026. There's a total of 82 townhomes, and we're assuming that results in a population estimate, or a population of 144 persons, and that's based on the county's current persons per housing unit data from the U.S. Census Bureau American Community Survey data. We are assuming that the residential values for the townhouse product is, or the market value is $580,000. There are a number of one-time revenues that would accrue to the county. There's the fee in lieu of the MPDU fee. There's the Board of Education impact fees. There's the impact fees for volunteer fire, as well as impact fees for parks and recreation. And then, of course, the one-time building permit revenue as well. So this slide here shows two funds, both the general fund as well as the Board of Education. When we look to the general fund over in the blue column, or excuse me, row that we see here, the total cumulative impact over the 20-year period is estimated to be $6.1 million. That translates to an average annual surplus generated by the Barnstable project of $307,000 annually. Again, this is a very conservative assumption. It's likely that the incomes of the folks buying these homes is likely to be much greater than what we assumed in the analysis, which is basically the bare minimum that you would need to qualify. So these are very conservative results here. For the Board of Education, we are estimating a 20-year cumulative surplus of approximately $848,000, which equates to approximately $42,000 on an average annual basis.
So you said earlier on that you're using the $10,358 from this year's budget, and you're spreading that out over the 20 years?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we were also conservative on the federal and state contributions, where we did not assume that all of those contributions were variable or would increase with growth. Some we estimated at being fixed relative to new growth. So when we add both the county and the general fund, or excuse me, the general fund and the Board of Education, the total cumulative impact over the 20-year period is almost $7 million. So another way of looking at the results is on an annual basis. And the reason why it's important to look at the results on an annual basis is there may be, and we've seen this in many circumstances or instances around the country, where a lot of times a jurisdiction may have to subsidize development for a period of 5 or 10 years before it becomes positive. But as you can see here, the Barnstable project is positive from year one. The green is the revenue, the blue is the general fund, and the blue is the Board of Education annual fiscal impacts. As you can see, because of that 12-year assumption for the transfer tax, that's why after the development program is built out, there's another spike in revenue as for a 3-year period as that 3-year absorption period hits that 12-year mark for projected turnover. In summary, the proposed development adds approximately $44.1 million in taxable value to the county. The 2023 median home value in Queen Anne County was estimated at $441,000, or almost $442,000, whereas the housing units in the Barnstable development, the estimated market value is $580,000, and the proposed development adds 82 housing units with an average household income of approximately $143,000. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about the analysis and specifics.
So how many kids are you assuming?
I can tell you that in just a second here. One second here. While I'm pulling that up, it is based on the county's current student generation yield factors.
So 1/2 per or a quarter?
Yeah, it's approximately 23.4 students.
So a quarter per.
So basically 23 students.
And you do any any assumptions as to what grade levels those students are? when
Yeah,
coming
they,
in?
they would be based on I can tell you that in a second here. Yeah, so that would result in 9 elementary school, 6 middle school, and 7 high school students.
And what's the basis? How do you figure out that amount? Is there some sort of
Yeah, so.
benchmark that you look at for that?
Excuse me, what was
Is there
that?
like some sort of benchmark that you
Yes,
use for
it's
that?
the county's current student generation rates for elementary, middle, and high school that is part of the APFO.
So I guess my concern about the 10,538, using that number as a flat number for 20 years, I mean, we're seeing a 4.5% to 6% escalation in education costs year over year right now that will at least continue at a minimum for the next 8 years via the Kerwin. That just, I'm concerned about that number being really skewed by not taking that into account.
Yeah, I understand that. And so my answer to that would be several things to think about. One is we're speculating on what that increase will be over time, right? And part of that is the blueprint process from the state. But again, most fiscal analyses, unless we know for a fact that something is going to happen for certain in a certain period of time or a certain year, typically don't layer those on. Just like at the same time, we're also not assuming that the values of the houses increase and more property taxes accrue, the incomes increase and more income taxes accrue. You're going to have the same thing with other operating costs. Certain costs are going to increase at a faster rate than others. So that's why most fiscal analyses are done using the snapshot approach, using current dollars, because you want to understand, based on how we do business today, can we afford to do business tomorrow under those assumptions? And these are, I think, to your point, this is a much larger fiscal issue that the county is going to have to address countywide, not just specific to the 2 development proposals that you have in front of you tonight.
So at an estimate of $580,000 for a housing unit with household income of $143, what is that? Property and income tax revenue for the county is how much per household? 9,000, something like that?
Let's
You have
see.
that number?
Per household?
Yeah, that's about right.
About 9,000?
Yeah, it's about right, yeah. So the delta to one student.
It's a loss.
It's a loss.
Not before any other county services.
We had that in an earlier presentation. Excuse me, what was the specific question again?
Yeah, if you assume a house value, assessed value at $580,000.
Right.
And household income of $143, what would be the revenue to the county per household? Revenue for property and income tax. I'm assuming it's somewhere around 9,000 based on those numbers.
Yeah, so it would be a 4,400 in property tax.
Right?
That's what I got. 4,500 and
Yeah. Something like that. And
the
30,
9,900, give or take. Or
close.
8,900,
It's
8,900.
close for not doing good in math class.
Should have stayed awake.
no, it's 7812.
7812.
83 units, right?
82.
Or 82, yeah.
82.
82.
Yeah, 82.
Okay, I don't think I have any other questions.
Yeah, I'm good.
And then again, also have the assessment rate, the 92% of the 580.
Right.
Right.
The 580 is if you break ground now,
Right.
so add 2 years to it, right? So 625,000
At least a year.
for your base house.
What's selling today on a resale market for these type of townhouses is $271 a square foot, which would put the houses that townhouses we're building at 609.
Pull the mic up.
Pull your mic over there, John.
What is selling today as a resale value for townhouses is $271 a square foot over in Ellendale. So if you took that times the size of the townhouses we're building, that would be a house of $609,000. So we're trying to be below the today market, below. And quite frankly, they may start out less and build it, because over the average of the 3 years, they may start at 650, and then they average up to 680, and then they average up to 580, and then 600. So.
Any other questions? All right, let's move on to the next one.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Carson, you stay right there, I guess, right? All right.
Good luck, Carson.
So Carson, Mr. Stevens? One of the titles said you.
So, good evening, Commissioners. Joe Stevens, attorney on behalf of QACTV. I got Mike Irons to my right, who is division president and who you know and met many times, and Carson, obviously, who's done the fiscal impact analysis. The same is true with the Ewing Farm in regards to its location within a county growth area, also within the priority funding area, and has been such for decades. I mean, this property across from the Graysonville Elementary School has been owned by the Ewing family and been part of the Graysonville Plan Development Area since at least the mid-90s, or probably even earlier than that. It's not in the critical area. There's sewer and water facilities surrounding the property, literally surrounding the property. And when we create a public hearing record in 2 weeks, we'll resubmit all that information. We submitted it back in December, but we'll get all that back into you. The other thing that I believe you have now, and you'll also have in your record in 2 weeks, is the entire fiscal impact document that's been prepared by Mr. Bice. And I think it's important to put this into context too. I mean, this is a comprehensive water and sewer plan amendment to go from S3, W3 to S2, W2. All right, and allow a property that's been identified as a growth area to develop consistent with the underlying zoning after it's been reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Department and the Planning Commission and approved by them, to move forward. You've had some concerns about the fiscal impact, which is really a first time for me in terms of dealing with one of these, but that's a concern you've had. You've raised that, especially given funding issues that are creating now with the Board of Education in the state. So we've prepared this fiscal impact assessment to show what Carson's going to go over with you, that there's a net positive fiscal impact result. There are no special approvals being requested here. We're not asking for growth allocation where the county will go in and get some significant exactions from a developer in exchange for giving them that bonus density of growth allocation. That's not the case here. There's nothing, we're not asking for a development rights agreement, again, where the county will get significant above and beyond exactions. We're just trying to show you that, look, from a fiscal standpoint, it's not going to have a negative impact on the county. From the planning standpoint, it's precisely what these plans that you've all done and adopted have called for decades. So with that, I'll turn it over to Carson.
Thank you. So let's start with the development program for Ewing Farm.
Can I just one question? Sir Joe, can you explain? That picture of it, that's the proposed area where it's going to be? And is that all around it, that looks like, is those homes, existing homes that are basically encircling?
Yes,
the
and they all have
property?
public sewer.
And then, except with the exception of, I think, the facility that's in the back of it, right?
Townhouses?
No, the
Y?
Chester Y.
Chester
right?
Y.
Is
I don't know,
that-
I know it runs past them because it goes down to Greenwood.
Yeah, because I think it was part of the farm, Wheeler probably knows, was part of their property at one point, and they either sold it or gave it for Chester Y, I think.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct,
I think
okay.
so.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right.
It's a 6 year from now build out, but 5 years once it starts. There are 290 units, 218 are single-family detached, and 72 of those units are townhomes. That results in a population of 744 additional county residents, again, based on the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey data. The most recent calculations are from 2023. This shows the market values for townhome units at $369,000, $528,000 for the single-family detached.
Stop you 1 second, because I want to be clear on something. When Mike was here, when we were here last time, we had looked at values about 10% less than this. There was some concern that has been directed to us by a number of people that the county wanted to see something a little higher end in terms of just that basic product that Hovnanian was providing. So Mike went back and he's going to, redesign the product itself to be about 10% improved, so to speak, lack of better word, that still meeting the goals and some objectives for more affordable housing, which is what this is, the Aspire product is, but at the same time, addressing some of the concerns we heard. Go ahead.
And there's several one-time revenues that are of note that total about $8.6 million, again, in one-time revenue, and that includes the transfer tax, the MPDU requirement, fee in lieu, education impact fees, fire impact fees, parks and rec impact fees, as well as the one-time building permits.
Is the fire impact fee, that's different than what Chief Anthony was
Yes.
talking about, right? So there'll be an
Correct.
additional.
It's above and beyond that.
That's
Yes.
the impact fees required by the county.
Sorry to keep interrupting you. I just want
No,
to
that's
make sure
all
I'm
right.
following.
That's fine.
So this table summarizes both the cumulative and the average annual fiscal results over the 20-year period. We're projecting a cumulative general fund surplus of $863,000, which is $43,000 on an annual basis. From the Board of Education, we're projecting a cumulative surplus of $5 million, which equates to about $250,000 on an average annual basis. And similar to the discussion related to Barnstable, this is a very, very conservative estimate of the revenues. Again, the bare minimum that required to afford the types of units. And we see from our other work in Maryland and other states that those incomes are likely to exceed the assumptions that we have in the model at this point. The cumulative net impact over the 20 years is $5.8 million. Again, we're going to show the results on an annual basis, similar to Barnstable. There are net surpluses generated in every year of the 20-year analysis period. The general fund is shown in green, Board of Education in blue. And similar to what we saw with Barnstable, once build-out is achieved in year 5 of the development program, the net impacts are sort of straight lined, if you will, or we're at build-out. But then again, once that 12-year period hits to the absorption schedule, we then see this recycling of the transfer and recordation tax that eventually falls back down to that same build-out level of net impact. So in summary, this development proposal adds approximately $131.4 million in additional taxable value to Queen Anne's County. The median home value in the county in 2023 was estimated, as I mentioned earlier, at almost $442,000, whereas the weighted average value of the housing units in the Aspire and Ewing Farm development are at $488,524. And then the proposed development adds 290 additional housing units with a weighted average household income of $121,000. And finally, the county also asked the developer to perform an economic impact analysis, which we did earlier in the process. This summarizes the.
Explain what that is.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry. So the difference between fiscal and economic is fiscal is really the cash flow to the public sector. So we're looking at the cost and revenues generated by new development, and are they enough to offset the commensurate service and facilities demands. Economic impact is really the cash flow to the private sector, right? And those economic impacts can sometimes transcend jurisdictional boundaries, particularly if we're talking about large regional economic development projects. But in the instance of this project, it's a smaller residential subdivision. Most of the economic impact is likely to be captured by Queen Anne's County, and those economic impacts include not only the direct impacts, which include direct spending by households, the one-time construction phase revenues in terms of construction phase employment, construction phase revenues that accrue from one-time sales of building materials. And then once the project's built out, there's going to be the indirect or induced impacts that happen from the spending of those residents within your population, which then support direct and indirect and induced employment and economic output. So the one-time economic impacts are 684 jobs, which equates to about two and a half jobs per unit. There's 44 million in labor income, which is about 150,000 per unit. 67 million in total economic value at 231,000 per unit, and 118 million in total economic output, or 407,000 per unit. Now, the ongoing impacts, once build-out occurs, are the spending by the residents in Aspire at Ewing Farm would support 134 permanent jobs. Most of those would be within Queen Anne County. I would have to surmise, given the scale of this development project, approximately 6 million in labor income, almost 14 million in local value added, and approximately 22 million in economic output annually. Again, the lion's share of that is most likely to be captured within Queen Anne County. And we're happy to answer any questions you have about this analysis.
I think some of the questions I would have would just be duplicative of what I already asked.
Okay.
So I won't re-ask them again. I
Yep.
can just do the math on it. I appreciate it.
Okay, so, well, first of all, one of the questions that came up was what was the enrollment? So
Yeah.
we are projecting, based on, again, on the county's APFO, student generation rate standards, that's an additional 60 elementary school kids, 33 additional middle school kids, and 34 additional high school kids. And then when we look at general revenue,
What would be the expected build-out of this? Like, how many years?
6 years.
6 years.
From the time you start construction, or?
Yes.
So those student population, that's over the course of the 6-year period, is that?
yeah, that's the build-out. At year 5, that's
Okay.
what you'd have. So,
So 127 students
Is that what that total number?
projection?
yeah, the total
what it says
is,
right
yeah,
now.
127, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
33 of them would go to Graysonville.
Yes, that's correct.
60.
60, I'm sorry.
Middle school would be different.
Stephenville.
And so in terms of property and income tax per unit, that's $15,034 per unit on average.
Well, I want to walk out on that ledge. So, Four Seasons, age restricted. Has it been successful?
Absolutely.
I mean, would you say that Cloisters, Bay Cove has been successful? I mean, it's sold out, right? Done?
Yeah,
Sold
I'm
out?
not, I couldn't answer that, but
Okay.
certainly, I have no
I'm
reason
just
to say
curious,
no.
if, and again, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I'm just wondering why that trend didn't continue, age restricted. I mean, if the schools are an issue being full, is it not?
Only the high school was projected to, like, there's,
Understand, but I'm just,
Jasonville's at 70%.
I mean,
We'll
you're
deal
getting
with that
data
when we
from
go
somewhere,
through
is there something that's saying, the residential market is where you want to be, then that's fine. I don't know that business. I'm just curious to where, I know what has transpired and is sold, and,
It's just, it's a marketing thing, Jim. It's, obviously Four Seasons, it's a waterfront location. I mean, we market those as, our brand Four Seasons as a lifestyle community. And, we have 2 full-time lifestyle coordinators that do clubs, all those things. I mean, could we do that in Graysonville? perhaps, but it probably wouldn't be as successful, right? Our Four Seasons location is a resort destination.
Okay.
You guys have been to the clubhouse.
Yeah.
I don't know that, nothing against Graysonville, but it's a different market.
Understood.
Right? Just the pricing, just to talk about pricing, the Barnstable community was at $580 for a townhome. We're at $369. We're $210,000 less than that here in Graysonville. Now, it's a smaller home. We're trying to still accomplish some of the affordability need that we saw in the comprehensive plan, but also hearing what you guys said, and asked for, higher priced homes, which we've dialed it up some.
Right.
So, but, I think, there's a need for market rates, what we call this, without a restriction here in Graysonville. Right across from elementary school, right across from a park, great access to 50 to go, for commuters to go jump on 50 and go across the bridge to work if they need to. I just, right now, we think it's best just to stay at a market rate, non-age restricted community.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to elaborate also, about Carson's. I guess there was some questions from staff about, during the construction phase, what economic benefit the county would have. And I just want to point out, going back to using Four Seasons as an example, right now, on an annual basis, we're spending about $13.5 million a year at Four Seasons with county businesses. ABC Roofing, all our shingles come from ABC Roofing right here in Centerville.
Yep.
Sherwin-Williams Paint, all paint comes from Sherwin-Williams on Kent Island. Every day, they bring a van load of 5-gallon buckets of paint over to our community. Cheney Concrete, R.B. Baker Landfill, all our construction rubble goes to R.B. Baker Landfill. 84 Lumber, all of our lumber, windows, trim, doors, all comes from 84 Lumber, which is in the county. The list goes on and on. Chester River Landscaping does all our sod and landscaping. They're a county, big county employer and a county business. So the list goes on and on. I've listed some, obviously the engineering, Joe's firms, Lane Engineering's local here in Centerville. McCrone did a lot of our work and still does surveying for us. So the list goes on and on. Bartlett Tree. Anyway, you get the picture. I think what I'm demonstrating is that we've supported local construction activity as we always said we would during the Four Seasons planning. So.
And the only thing I would add is that both these reports were submitted to staff, reviewed by staff. We got comments from them. We revised the reports based on their comments. And I think they even used some outside consulting to look at it and give them their view of the reports. So we think they're solid reports, and you have a full copy of them, but we'll provide it for the record in 2 weeks as well.
Carson, you said projections of 744 people, about 750, and you said that the fees to the state, to the county would be 5.8 million. Is that correct? Did I understand that?
What's the overall revenue? Yeah, this overall revenue.
Sorry?
You're talking about this slide.
See, I don't have that, so
Oh,
it's hard for me. Yeah.
took me 3 hours to get here this way. You get it there.
I think that's, you circulated by email. We got it by email now.
Should
It's
have
not,
it.
it wasn't, we didn't have it in time for the book.
We'll provide you the summary as well. We'll leave these.
So you said 5.8 million.
That's the cumulative for both the Board of Education and the general fund,
To the county.
to the county.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you mentioned, thank you, then you mentioned in the prior presentation that Barnstable would be 7 million.
Right.
The same, yeah. So this is 3 times the size. Why is this?
They generate less kids, and they've got a higher assessed value and higher incomes.
Townhome is only a quarter student per home is the APF rate, and they're all townhomes. I think ours is 70% single family,
And 30%.
and they generate half a student is the rate for a single family home. And obviously, we're at a more affordable price.
They were at 6.9.
Different price point.
Not 8, so you're $1 million off.
It's a different price point, different income level.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
I know you got a
Thank
busy
you.
schedule
Thank you
tonight.
for both
so
projects for
appreciate all
coming,
the time.
bringing this information to us.
I'll leave this with Stephanie. which is copies of what was just up on the board.
How are you? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think everybody did, actually.
He had them. He was running late, so.
We do the hearing?
Yeah, we're ready to go. All right, we're a little behind schedule for our public hearings, but we can begin. Mr. Thompson, come on up. So Commissioners, also in legislation under tab 7, item number 2, pages 111, beginning on page 111 through 139, we have County Ordinance 25-01, an act concerning cannabis licensed growers, processors, and dispensaries to provide consistency with state law as required by SB 516 and HB 805. So, Mr. Thompson, can you proceed with the hearing, please?
Sure. On January 28, 2025, Commissioner Corchiarino introduced County Ordinance Number 2501, a bill entitled An Act Concerning Cannabis Licensed Growers, Processors, and Dispensaries to provide consistency with state law as required by Senate Bill 516 and House Bill 805. By adding sections 18-157-1, amending sections 18-114, 18-115, 18-121, 18-121.1, 18-122, 18-123, 18-124, 18-125, 18-128, 18-135, and 18-1-35.1, and repealing section 18-195U of the Code of Public Local Laws. This hearing is being held on Tuesday, May 13th at 5:45 in the County Commissioner Meeting Room, Liberty Building, 107 North Liberty Street, Centerville, Maryland. Copies of the proposed ordinance have been available at the County Commissioner's office at 107 North Liberty Street during normal business hours and online at the county website. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Written testimony of any length can be submitted on or before the hearing date to the county commissioners. All hearing sites are accessible to individuals with disabilities. Sign language interpreters and listening systems are available. For the record of the proceeding will be a certificate of publication indicating that notice of the hearing was published for 2 consecutive weeks in the Baytime and Record Observer, newspapers of general circulation in Queen Anne's County, and the recommendation of the Queen Anne's County Planning Commission. With that, Stephanie, do you want?
Yeah, I can just give a little update. So you'll recall back in 2023, the state legalized recreational marijuana. In 24, we adopted an ordinance that brought recreational cannabis into our code. Basically, it brought it in line with our medical cannabis provisions. And then in 24, the state again adopted another bill that further clarified other points in regards to recreational cannabis. So we've gone back to the drawing board to be sure that we are in line with all state requirements. This addresses cannabis growers, processors, and dispensaries. So if you have specific questions about certain parts of it, but what it does, it gives us some provisions. We have to align those growers and processors with existing uses in the county. And then dispensaries are very specific to what the state allows in regards to setbacks. Growers, we were able to compare it to another use, which is our mega farms, which is our poultry farms specifically. We've added a landscaping 20-foot buffer around the farm itself, and also a 300-foot setback for any of the buildings that are specific to the grower. Also, we've added what is the applicant will have to provide a basically an odor and abatement agreement to the county when they're submitting any type of submittal, and they also have to indicate to the county that they're in compliance with that plan every year. Also, that is the same for processors. They'll have to submit that odor and abatement agreement. And then for dispensaries, we were able to actually increase one setback. Currently, it is a setback of 2,500 feet from each of the, from dispensary to dispensary. The state now allows 1/2 mile between dispensaries, so that was something that could be increased with this update.
So at a, no pun intended, at a high level, we had certain rules in place for where marijuana business could go.
Yep.
The state had a law that was different. Ours was more restrictive than the state. We're not allowed to be more restrictive than the state, so we're required to change our ordinance to be consistent with the state. Otherwise, the county could get sued,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
I don't have anyone signed up. Is there anyone here as a public comment on County Ordinance 2501?
Oh, he does.
Go ahead, Rita.
Stephanie, Planning Commission recommendation.
So just as a brief summary as to what the emails were about the dispensary, there was one person against it due to addiction and symptoms in young adults, and the person for it was for their own personal medical conditions, and it's more convenient to drive in this county instead of to Annapolis. So those are the two. I can give names or anything if you guys would like.
I think that's fine. I would say that we all agree on the addiction issues, and we tried in Annapolis to get the state to allow us to have the counties have their own jurisdiction as to what where they wanted things to go, and the state told us to go shove it. So, politely. So we agree, and we tried to take action to mitigate that, and we're unsuccessful.
So who's going to test for the odor?
So what it is, they'll have to hire a odor hygienist or a mechanical engineer to draft those plans when it's submitted to the county, and then they'll have to utilize those same hygienists or also engineers when they're going out and securing and indicating that they're in compliance to provide that to the county every year.
How is that working with the facility here in Centerville?
When you can still smell it.
In regards to,
The smell, I mean, is
It's way better. It's way
they-
better, but
and
it's still
they
there.
have provided some type of an odor abatement plan to the town. It's not required by the town, but they've kind of gone above and beyond to provide that. And obviously knowing what Centerville's going through, it was kind of a good indication as to what maybe the county should do as well.
Well, I mean, I guess the concern is the business park that they want to go in for processing, and a church across from it. I mean, we have 4 schools within a half a mile of it, and I think it's going to be a problem. And we're worried about getting sued by the state. What do we do with our own
Where's the
citizens?
processor going, Jim? What are you talking about?
Business park, right?
Yeah,
In Chesapeake Bay?
yeah. Hoping to, I guess. I don't know where that stands right now, but,
Not to mention that one blew up a few weeks ago,
yeah.
and thank God nobody was killed. That is a concern.
I totally understand. It's
And
just
a
that we
business
have to be
park.
sure that we're compliant.
Next to a nursery.
All right, well,
Welcome to Maryland.
We'll vote on it in 2 weeks.
thanks, Stephanie.
Yep.
Thank you, Steph.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Don't blame Stephanie. She tried her best to get this as restrictive as possible for everybody.
Understood, yeah.
Here's the second one.
All right, Commissioners, the next item, item number 3, in tab 7, beginning on page 140, is County Ordinance 25-06. This is a public hearing for an act concerning the use of plastic bags in Queen Anne's County. Mr. Thompson?
Thank you, Todd. On April 8, 2025, Commissioner Dumanel introduced County Ordinance 2506, a bill entitled An Act Concerning the Use of Plastic Bags in Queen Anne's County. It would add a new Article 6 to Chapter 13 of the Code of Public Local Laws of Queen Anne's County. This hearing is being held Tuesday, May 13th at 2025 at 5:50 p.m. in the County Commissioners Meeting Room. Liberty Building, Centerville, Maryland. Copies of the ordinance have been available at the County Commissioner's office and online on the county website. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Written testimony of any length can be submitted on or before the hearing date to the county commissioners. All hearing sites are accessible to individuals with disabilities. Sign language interpreters and assistive listening systems are available. Part of the record of proceeding will be a certificate of publication indicating that notice of tonight's hearing was published for two successive weeks prior to tonight in the Bay Times Record Observer. Newspapers of general circulation in Queen Anne's County. There are, I guess these are Zoom, Kelly, Gordon.
Yeah, let me just, we're going to get into everybody who wants to speak. And so I just want to say, everybody who wants to speak for or against, please feel free to. I think we have a lot of people here who I'm assuming are on this. If what you have to say for or against is what somebody has also said, consider whether or not you just want to say, I agree with them, instead of the exact same 3-minute speech. If you want to give the exact same 3-minute speech, you may do that. We are not stopping you. I'm just trying to help everybody stay engaged with what's being said. When we go through the emails, they'll also sort of give us the high level on that. But please don't feel like you can't say what you want to say. Just consider it.
Did you say that Mr. Gordon is?
Yeah, she's right.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
There we go.
Start with your name and address, please.
Name and address.
Oh, yeah. Good evening. My name is Kelly Jordan, and I'm the Executive Director of Trash Free Maryland, here in support. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony in support of County Ordinance 25-06, an act concerning the use of plastic bags in Queen Anne's County. Trash Free Maryland works across the state and with our local partners toward an environment free of trash and litter, where communities, public spaces, and waterways are safe, healthy, and support Maryland's economic viability. We advocate for policies based on significant contributors to trash and litter and effective policy interventions identified through our cleanup data in neighborhoods and waterways. Our experience shows that the key components to a successful program to reduce plastic bag pollution and to encourage reuse of bags includes a ban on plastic bags and a tight definition of reusable bags, coupled with an effective fee for paper or alternative bags. Trash Free Maryland supports this ordinance with these elements of an effective policy to directly reduce plastic bag pollution. As they are a significant contributor to land and marine litter, banning plastic bags will help eliminate them as a source of pollution. Jurisdictions across Maryland are passing bag ban fee legislation to mitigate the growing and costly challenges imposed by these problematic disposable items, both in litter and when they enter the municipal waste stream. And jurisdictions with bag fees have seen significant results in the form of reduced plastic bag litter in the environment. We support this legislation for the following reasons. Plastic bags last for years in the environment after just a few minutes of use. In the water, wildlife mistakes bags and particles for food or gets tangled in them. There are ready and convenient alternatives to single-use plastic bags, and bag fees are a proven mechanism to change behavior, encourage reuse, and directly impact litter. And reducing plastic bag litter would be a big step toward reducing macro trash pollution that breaks into smaller and smaller pieces
and contributes to accumulating levels of microplastics that are increasingly found in our marine environments. We respectfully urge your support of this ordinance and applaud your consideration of this major step toward removing a ubiquitous source of plastic pollution in Maryland's neighborhoods and waterways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Reisner.
They're on Zoom as well.
Yep, I think it's on Zoom.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Reisner, and I appreciate the opportunity to testify in support of the Ordinance 25-06. 2022-06, given my capacity as a physician. It is estimated that around the world, people use 160,000 plastic bags every single second. And then within our own country, each American uses about 365 disposable bags a year. Unfortunately, these plastic bags are not recyclable and they end up in trash or as litter. We know that this massive amount of plastic waste from bags and other types of plastic products accumulates and carries significant health consequences. So firstly, plastic that is littered or landfilled readily breaks up into micro and nanoplastics, which contaminate our air, water, and soil, and they end up in our water supply and food chain. For example, because of the microplastic pollution in the Chesapeake Bay, oysters harvested from the bay contain detectable amounts of microplastics. When we ingest these oysters and these microplastics in turn, they can be absorbed into our bloodstream and then spread throughout our bodies. You've probably seen the news coverage that microplastics have been detected in most human organs, including the heart, lungs, brain, and testicles. Research shows that these tiny pieces of plastic cause inflammation in whatever organ they're found in, and doctors like myself worry that they could be linked to higher rates of heart attacks, stroke, cancer, and dementia, though this research is still really early. Secondly, we know that plastic bags and microplastics release endocrine disrupting chemicals, which are linked to rising rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes, preterm birth, decreased sperm count, and IQ loss, ADHD, and autism. These health issues are especially worrisome for our children and our grandchildren who are being born into an increasingly polluted world, which is not as God intended. So by reducing plastic bags, this ordinance would help reduce the environmental pollution and the human exposure to microplastics and these endocrine disrupting chemicals. I therefore urge you to pass this ordinance in order to support the health of our constituents.
Doctor, can I ask you a question? The microtoxins that you're alluding to, would it be fair to say that that's from ingestion? Bottles, plastic bottles, soda bottles, or excuse me, soda plastic bottles?
So we can ingest or inhale microplastics. We can ingest them from when they sort of come off of the food packaging, contains our beverages and our food, but we also ingest it because there's so much microplastic pollution in the ocean and the bay, it literally is coming in our seafood, in our fish, in our oysters, in sea salt. We know that even just the general microplastic pollution that's out in the environment from when we litter or landfill plastic, it ends up making its way back.
Or say tomato juice or for orange juice from a plastic bottle, would it be a good idea to move away from that because of the leaching of the microtoxins into the orange juice?
Yes, and when you're thinking about plastic products, I think of them in two different toxins. So one is the microscopic tiny pieces of plastic, so that's what we call microplastics and nanoplastics. But all of those also contain chemicals. Those are the ones I mentioned, the endocrine disrupting chemicals. So that's why it's really important to, try not to, never microwave your food in plastic. Try not to try to reduce how much you're drinking out of plastic stuff. And unfortunately, aluminum cans are lined with a type of plastic resin. One of the problems is that when things say that they're BPA-free, BPA is one of those endocrine disrupting chemicals. The problem is that usually companies just substitute it for a different similar chemical like BPS or BPF, so you're not really getting the health benefit if something says it's BPA-free.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Shelley.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sarah Shelley, co-founder of Plastic Free QAC. Since 2018, our mission has been clear: to drastically reduce the tide of single-use plastic threatening to overwhelm the very essence of our beloved Queen Anne's County. Although our focus tonight is on the issue of single-use plastic bags, I want to point out that because of your commitment and investment to these same goals, and your willingness to collaborate with other organizations to find sustainable solutions, Queen Anne's County has set an example for the rest of the state by saving upwards of 7.35 tons of boat shrink wrap from landfills in just 2 years. So there's no doubt you share our concerns. We know our businesses, tourism, and residents are all drawn to the beauty of the Chesapeake Bay, and many rely on it for their livelihoods. Tonight, you've already heard from a physician outlining the very real and growing health hazards that plastic pollution poses to our bodies and the well-being of future generations. You'll hear from a riverkeeper describing environmental impacts of persistent plastic on our precious waterways. You'll hear from farmers, growing concerns from a student, and testimonies from our watermen, businesses, schools, residents, and more, all highlighting the urgent need to reduce single-use plastic. The effects of this growing epidemic are widely known. Consequently, plastic bag bans are going into effect everywhere. A proven fact is that both residents and businesses, with time, adapt to the change, as demonstrated in our own county seat of Centerville. So I ask you, commissioners, is Queen Anne's County going to be the last to enact a similar ordinance? There are always fears and frustrations associated with change, yet clearly this is a pivotal moment. You have the power, the opportunity to make the right decision, a decision that will resonate for years to come. So why not take the courageous step forward and vote yes on this ordinance? Because it isn't just about the unsightly litter, a 10-cent fee, or breaking the habit of a plastic bag over bringing a reusable. It's about safeguarding the health of our children, our community, and protecting the natural beauty and resources that will define our home for generations to come. The global crisis of excessive plastic consumption is only escalating, and the responsibility to act locally rests squarely with you. My deepest hope, and the hope of countless residents, is that you'll vote yes on this. And as proven before, together we can make this work. So thank you for your consideration. I hope you'll vote yes on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Falstad.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jay Falstad again, Queen Anne's Conservation Association. We want to stand with our friends at Plastic Free QACA and Shore Rivers and urge you to support Ordinance 2506. I just want to add just an observation, because I'm sure all the other people are going to cover what I was probably going to say. But not long ago, I was over in Baltimore. As you drive into Baltimore along the roadways, you can't help but notice a sea of plastic bags hanging in the bushes, all over the roadways and the gutters. If you go up to Middletown, Delaware, right across 896, across from the Walmart, that whole field there. I went by there one time, I thought it was snow geese. It's white plastic bags all across that field stuck in the corn stalks. I give that to you as just sort of an illustration because I believe Queen Anne's County can do better, and we should do better. We've arrived at a point in time where this is not a heavy lift. Other jurisdictions around the country are doing it. Chestertown is doing it. Centerville is doing it. And so it's not a giant leap to take this one step further and have this go countywide. So with that, I hope that you'll support this. It's the right thing to do. And at the end of the day, do you want to be on the side of the people that are trying to help the environment or the people that are polluting it? And I think all of you want to be on the right side of trying to keep our communities clean and green. And we can take a step forward by eliminating single-use plastic bags. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron Luna.
Byron?
Well, maybe is it lung, possibly? Annie Richards.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Annie Richards. I'm your Chester River Keeper with Shore Rivers, a voice for clean water on Maryland's Eastern Shore. Usually I stand before you all to speak about the impacts to our local waterways from nutrient and sediment pollution from across our watershed. Tonight I'm here in support of County Ordinance 2605, before you to reduce plastic bag use in Queen Anne's County. I patrol the Chester and its tributaries each Wednesday, April through October, and over the course of the year, I fill a 3x2 foot cooler of plastic trash that I find in the tidal channels of our rivers. The majority of this pollution consists of balloons, soda bottles, and plastic shopping bags. But the bulk of our plastic pollution in our local rivers is not found in the tidal channels, but rather it is captured in the nearshore habitat, in our beaches and shorelines, our tidal marshes, and our grasses. This nearshore habitat is where our communities access and recreate in our local waterways, and it is also a nursery habitat for aquatic life. Plastics trapped in the nearshore habitat break down over time, resulting in cumulative impacts to bay life and local residents. A comprehensive year-long study by the National Atmospheric and Oceanic Administration from 2012 to 2013 found microplastics in 98% of surface water sampled across the Chesapeake Bay, with concentrations peaking near town centers and after heavy rains. These tiny plastic particles can be ingested by aquatic life like white perch, rockfish, oysters, crabs, catfish, our flagship fish that folks come to the Eastern Shore to eat and enjoy, leading to physical harm and potential transfer up the food chain as those aquatic species become a part of our seafood economy. This ordinance is a proactive step toward reducing plastic pollution at its source. Local actions like this not only protect our immediate environment, but also set a precedent that can influence state policy, encouraging producers to adopt more sustainable practices, which will ultimately help to turn the tide, excuse the pun, on plastic and toxic chemical pollution in the Chesapeake. I'll add that PFAS, forever chemicals, something that we are growingly alarmed about the presence in our environment and its ability to bioaccumulate. PFAS are often present in plastic bags specifically used in the food service industry. And so when we think about PFAS and forever chemicals that can bioaccumulate in fish, in our soils, in our well water, and in our rivers, this is a great way to stop it at its source. Thank you for your consideration, and Shore Rivers hopes for a favorable report from this commission.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next name, I believe, is Ron. Last name starts with a B, Graysonville.
I'll say it.
Sorry.
Good evening. My name is Ron Burr. I come from the Plastic Free Group and then have a bit of background with commercial water. And I've been asked to kind of deliver or summarize 2 letters from people in the community that work professionally on the waterways. The first comes from the president and representing the Queen Anne County's Watermen Association. So, and I'm just going to more or less read it and summarize it a little bit to shorten it to fit in the time.
If you want to summarize it, and then you can hand it in to us, and we'll make sure everybody gets a record.
I can give you my notes here, and I believe, Bente, you have the actual letter.
Yeah.
Great. So as proud men on the water daily basis, we urge to put a stop to single-use carry-out plastic bags. They are unhealthy for the environment, and we hate to see them destructively trashing our waterways. Centerville did so, and many other states have as well. Prohibiting all plastic in waterways would be supported by the Watermen's Organization and the watermen in it. Not only do we hate them in the environment, we don't want our children and grandchildren to inherit a world polluted by our generation's love of the convenience of plastic. Please pass the bag ban and show the world what a great, responsible county Queen Anne County is. Thank you for your leadership on many fronts. And it's signed, Ian Homey. The other one comes from Adam Lawrence, who heads up Toe Jam, but also U.S. boats in this region. He says something has always bothered him since he was young, was seeing what they referred to as plastic stingrays, plastic grocery bags that would be seen floating on top and below the water. These bags would act as nets and death traps to local wildlife like turtles, fish, and even manatees. He did spend some time in Florida. In a typical year, I put about 5,000 nautical miles on my boat. I'm on the water more than most, in and out of all the creeks, rivers. But something I've noticed, mostly during the busy boating season, is the occurrence of the plastic stingrays in our area now. He does say, and don't get me started on helium balloons, it makes me sad to think these bags end up in the water of this paradise. Just last week, I ran across a large sea turtle, this beautiful animal, and to think it could be hurt by such a simple thing as a plastic bag. The plastic bag ban is tough to swallow, especially for small businesses like theirs. My hope is with time and education and a general nudge towards more sustainability, we can overcome these issues. It has been shown that plastic bag bans do work and people start to see the value. People begin to bring reusable bags to the store. This takes time, but eventually everybody gets it. In the long run, then I hope my days on the water will not find any more plastic stingrays. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Webb.
Good evening. I am Tom Webb. I live at 113 Congressional Drive in Stevensville. I'm the volunteer coordinator for Plastic Free QAC, which means I'm the guy who gets the people to go out and pick up the trash that other people throw on the road. So over the last 2 years, our volunteers have collected over 278 bags of trash. Plastic bags, plastic bottles, food containers, etc. And although I'm not a farmer, I do grow a mean tomato. And I'm here to, I've been asked to present the concerns of 3 farmers from Queen Anne's County regarding the impact of the plastic bags. These 3 small businesses, Sunkist Flower Farm in Stevensville, Fat and Happy Farms in Graysonville, and Lowry's Farm in Chester. And as you may know, the Lowry Farm has been there since the early 1900s. These are people who know Queen Anne's County and love Queen Anne's County. While these 3 small businesses could not be here today, they've asked us to present their concerns to the commission and to introduce their letters into the record. Per your request, the major concerns they have are the same concerns that everyone else has: unsightly litter, environmental impact on the bay wildlife and the watermen, and the long-term effect on health. So we don't need to go into all those issues. They also mentioned, which is an interesting thing for them, is that they get caught up in their farm machinery. They get tangled in there and screw that up. So on their behalf, I thank you for your attention and urge you to vote yes on this ordinance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kaylin Green.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Kaylin, and I'm a junior at Kent Island High School. Over the past 2 years, I've participated in dozens of community cleanups, some with plastic-free themselves. And what bothers me most isn't just picking up this trash, it's knowing what happens to these plastics over time. The plastic bags take between 400 and 1,000 years to break down, and as they do, they release toxic substances into our environment. These microplastics are now everywhere, in our water, our soil, and even in the food that we eat. My generation is increasingly concerned about what this means for our health. I have frequently seen on the internet how these microplastics are being found in human bloodstreams, organs, and even in our brains. We and future children are the ones who will live with the long-term health consequences of the decisions made today. Small businesses often get mentioned as a reason not to ban plastic bags, but I'd urge that small business owners care about their children's health too. Many retailers have successfully adapted to plastic bag bans in the past by offering reusable alternatives, and their customers have adjusted to the new normal. I understand that change can be difficult for these small businesses, but what is the true cost of not making this change? Our county spends thousands of dollars cleaning up plastic bag pollution that could be supporting small businesses in other ways. When my grandparents were my age, they didn't use plastic bags at all, and businesses still thrived. We are not asking for something impossible, just a return to more sustainable practices. I respectfully ask you to consider my generation's future health and welfare when making this decision. My fellow students and I would love to work together to maintain Queen Anne's County to its utmost beauty. Thank you for your time.
Good job, Caitlin.
Brad Hirsch.
Hi. Thank you for your time. My name is Brad Hirsch. I am the Director of Sustainability in the Chesapeake Watershed semester at the Gunston School, and I feel like I should probably just get out of the way for someone that spoke so eloquently on these. But what our student friend over there presented was one perspective, and a powerful perspective. But as an educator and someone that's been working in the outdoors for over 16 years, teaching both in a classroom and in outdoor education as a kayak instructor, I would want to speak to kind of the look on every student's face when they get outside, when they go onto our waterways. That's specifically, I'm speaking on behalf of the Gunston School as well to endorse this ordinance. Because we have a waterfront, we have 75 acres, we are right on the Corsica, and we have this lovely space, but sometimes it is marred by by plastic bags, by other trash that happens to be plastic as well, that is impacting our bodies, that everyone has already spoken so eloquently on. But I want to paint a picture for you all. And so I've taught kids that have been in 4th grade, I've taught kids on the water in the 12th grade. But the look on their faces when they come across a piece of trash is something that it almost, I wouldn't say that it undermines the education that we're doing, but it makes them ask questions. It makes them ask questions about who we are as people, who we are as a society. And I think that as they're out there seeing a blue heron fly across the bay, if they're out there watching an osprey talk too much, they also see this. And so I would encourage all of us to really think about how we want to present to our student friends in this community. And so just kind of, I would encourage you all to support this ordinance. I would also agree with every other lovely sentiment that we've heard in support of this ordinance in general. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Peggy Young.
Good evening. I'm Peggy Young. I live at 49B Queen Guinevere Way in Chester, and that's Guinivere, because nobody can ever spell that. I used to live next door to Gunston School, and my nephews went there, and it is a beautiful, beautiful space. They're doing wonderful things. I'm here to share some testimony from, the Centerville Town Council members. Sandy Huffer. Dear Commissioners, my name is Sandy Huffer. I live in Centerville and I'm a member of the Town Council. Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend the 513 County Commissioners meeting. Speaking on behalf of myself, I strongly support eliminating single-use carry-out shopping bags in Queen Anne's County. Centerville banned plastic bags effective January 1st, 2024, and both businesses and residents have adjusted well to the transition. Plastic bags are devastating to the Chesapeake Bay and our waterways, which are so important to our local economy and recreation. I hope you will support County Ordinance number 2506, and thank you for your leadership to address this issue to improve the quality of life for our residents. And the other one is from Ashley Kaiser. Thank you for considering this important ordinance. As a member of the Centerville Town Council, I supported our similar ordinance in 2023 that was enacted in 2024 and remain proud that we took this important step. While there were lots of negative comments made initially, people adjusted to the new normal of bringing their own bags. I strongly encourage you to pass this ordinance, which will be better for the Bay, our farm fields, and our overall environment. I'm glad to see your ordinance requires the retailer to collect a fee and that they are retaining that fee. I know you don't want to burden businesses, and allowing them to retain the fee helps offset their incurred costs for bags. When Anne Arundel County enacted a similar ordinance, I appreciated their marketing as being not about banning bags, but rather the encouragement to bring your own bags. I know it can be difficult to do the right thing in the face of loud opposition, but as you know, people are much louder about what they do not like than what they do. That is the sad reality of human nature. I appreciate your willingness to consider this ordinance. Please consider me a willing partner in implementation as we work together for our shared goal of a higher quality of life for our residents. Best, Ashley Kaiser. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elaine Studley. Elaine Studley. Neil Bates.
Good evening. I'm Neil Bates.
I live at 153 Bluebell Court in Chester, Maryland. I'm here tonight with members of the Kent Island Four Seasons Environmental Club. What the club endeavors to do is to try to keep this beautiful area beautiful and environmentally safe. One of the things we do is go on trash pickups. We work within our neighborhood. We also volunteer on Route 50 and Route 8. We're about to permanently adopt a section of Route 8 and become full-time stewards of about 3.1 miles, picking up trash year-round. So the trash we see lots of different types of trash, but the stuff that's easy to collect are things that lie on the ground because of gravity. Plastic bags are just a totally different animal. They get caught up in the breeze, they fly into sticker bushes, and they go up on tall tree branches. So after we've done all that we can, we have to leave the area with those plastic bags still in place, and it kind of defeats the purpose, and it's kind of depressing. So I know change is hard, but I think this is a change worth making. Also, we've had experience in transitioning away from single-use bags to reusable plastic bags. They're superior to the plastic bags in environmental ways, but also in practical ways. They lie flat, they're stronger, they hold more groceries, so you need fewer bags, and they fold flat when they're not in use. What we do is we just keep our bags in our car, so we're always ready when we go to a grocery store. So I think that's all I have to say. Oh, the most important part is our houses are not filling up with plastic bags. So we never have to deal with what to do with them, like taking it back to the grocery store. We can't throw them away, we can't recycle them. So I hope you support this bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. Liz Hammond.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Elizabeth Hammond. I live at 215 Thomas Road in Centerville. I'm representing the League of Women Voters of Queen Anne's County. The League supports Ordinance 2506. The League's solid waste position is to support a program of solid waste management that protects public health and the environment through promotion of sourced reduction, recycling, and adoption of a conservation ethic among individuals, businesses, and government. Single-use plastic bags are detrimental to the health of humans, animals, and the planet. Also, the economic impact is considerable. Plastic bags are a major contributor to litter and landfill waste, increasing municipal waste management expenses. Plastic pollution poses threats to wildlife, leading to potential costs in conservation efforts and biodiversity protection. Littered environments can deter tourism, affecting local economies dependent on visitors. Implementing and promoting sustainable alternatives can mitigate these costs and provide environmental stewardship. Implementing a ban on single-use plastic bags with provisions such as a fee for paper bags to encourage reusable alternatives is a practical step towards reducing plastic waste. This approach has been successfully adopted by 16 Maryland jurisdictions, including here on the Eastern Shore and Easton, Chestertown, and the town of Centerville. The League urges the Commissioners to consider the long-term environmental and economic benefits of this legislation and to take decisive action in protecting our community and the Chesapeake Bay from plastic pollution. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Sarah Price.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sarah Price, and I'm here on behalf of the Maryland Retailers Alliance. We are a statewide organization that's based out of Annapolis, but our membership spans the entire state with businesses of all shapes and sizes, from department stores, grocery stores, hardware stores, all the way down to Main Street businesses, and we particularly partner with Centerville in addition to all of the main streets. For the last 5 years, we have been supportive of carry-out bag proposals that have included a ban and fee structure that allows retailers to keep the fee. This has been based on the logistical feedback from our members because the fee is not a moneymaker for businesses. No one is profiting off of it. It's directly offsetting the cost of paper. Paper costs much more than plastic relatively. A grocery store can get a plastic bag for a penny, maybe half a penny if they're buying in large volume, but paper grocery bags are costing an average of about 10 cents per bag right now, even for large grocery chains. Retail bags that you might see at a clothing store or a Main Street boutique cost much more. It scales up based on the quality of the bag, if you have branding, if they have sturdy handles, and then it is always you pay less if you're buying more bags. So if you're a smaller businesses, you are likely paying more because you're purchasing fewer bags at a time. So we are supportive of setting this fee in statute because it sets an even playing field for businesses, and it sets consistent expectations across the board. Every customer knows what to expect in every store, and it helps businesses to avoid having to make difficult decisions down the line, as we do expect the cost of paper to continue to increase as more markets look at phasing out plastic. When we first started working on local legislation in Baltimore City in 2019 on this subject, paper grocery bags were around 6 to 8 cents, and now, as I said, they're creeping up towards 10 and 12. So should the board choose to move forward with this proposal, we are supportive of that ban and fee structure for those reasons. However, we would also respectfully urge you to consider amending the legislation to mirror what's in place in Centerville, because there are two key differences, at least that I have noticed, between the proposals. Centerville included pharmacy bags in the list of clarifying exemptions, so they would not be, they wouldn't fall under the requirement to charge the 10-cent fee, and restaurants were also exempted from that 10-cent fee. So we would ask that you, if you move forward, that you mirror that legislation to ease the transition for the community and provide consistency. Thank you.
Thank you. Connie Zelig.
My name is Connie Zillig. I'm at 702 Long Point Road in Graysonville. And I have a letter here from Wes Callender. He's the owner of Adams Grill in Chester. It says, Honorable Commissioners, I am Wes Callender, owner of Adams Grill in Chester, which I have run successfully for more than 10 years. We at my establishment struggle to contain refuse on a daily basis. The restaurant business is a dirty business. There is no way to refute that fact. However, we support your efforts to minimize single-use plastic throughout our precious county. Please vote in favor of banning single-use carry-out plastic bags. One step at a time, we will minimize our generation's footprint for the young to inherit this earth. We have unfortunately added an awful lot of litter and unhealthy chemicals in our lifetimes that we need to work on reducing. At the same time, as we get rid of these bags, we also reduce taxpayers' costs of removing them as litter. Please, let's all do our share. We are at a crossroads where we can make a difference. Let's do it. Thank you, Wes Callender, Adams Grill.
Thank you.
Is it Bent County? Cooney?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Bente Cooney, founder of Plastic Free QAC, and I live in Graysonville in Oyster Cove. Plastic Free has previously presented to you about the how relatively easily the implementation was of the same ordinance in Centerville, and how the 72 out of 93 Queen Anne's County businesses already use paper rather than plastic bags. And also that 23 out of 29 surveyed businesses in Centerville have adjusted well to the change and favors expanding it to the entire county. I'm also happy to tell you that Kristen Weed from Kent Island Beach Cleanup, who was here way before plastic-free QAC were around, is in full support of the ordinance and urge you to pass it. Our one approach, of course, is to encourage people to voluntarily use reusable bags. However, it's our experience, and those who have tried that approach in other states have found it does not work. We have given out thousands of bags, and while it certainly has made a positive impact, the basic behavior of the majority of people has not changed. Still using plastic bags. So one concern, of course, is the small businesses, and we suggest that solutions are created to help the small businesses with their concerns. You know, perhaps give them a longer implementation period for the ordinance, like, for example, to the end of this year, so that they can use up the stock that they have and get used to the whole idea of the change. Perhaps some funding could be found for reusable bags, and we can certainly help with that. And do as the pet owner, Helen Bennett, suggested, is to present the small businesses who need some help with a batch of reusable bags to get them over the hump. The minimum of 10%, as 10 cents per bag, as we already heard from Sarah, will help, of course, with this whole effort. So there are ways to make it happen and to make it easier for the small businesses. We're not reinventing the wheel here. You know, it's been done successfully in 11 states, including Delaware, our neighboring state, and 16 Maryland locations, including 3 right here on the Eastern Shore. We urge you to say yes to this ordinance. That was 3 minutes. Okay. Okay. And please say yes. It will take another bite into the vitally responsible job of being the steward of God's blue planet, our Mother Earth. Thank you.
Brendan Mahoney.
Thank you, Commissioners. Brendan Mahoney, representing the Restaurant Association of Maryland and our members in Queen Anne's County. We're opposed to this ordinance as currently drafted, and we would ask if you decide to move forward with it to consider a full restaurant exemption from both the plastic bag prohibition as well as the requirement to charge a bag fee. Plastic and paper bags are used in a variety of situations in the restaurant setting, and we're unique in that way. Typically, plastic bags, even if a restaurant customarily uses a paper bag, are used to safeguard against leakage or breakage. A lot of times you see this with carry-out crabs because paper bags alone aren't strong enough to support the hot and the condensation and weight of hot steamed crabs. And also for our industry that operates on a razor-thin margin, this does be a little bit of a cost prohibition for them. We'd also ask for an exemption from the bag fee. Generally, our restaurants don't allow customers to use reusable bags. This is due to food safety concerns. We don't know where that bag has been, whether it's carried raw meat or seafood, and our members don't know if it's been properly sanitized, and they don't want to risk being blamed for foodborne illness. So at that point, since there's no alternative to paper bags or a plastic bag, the fee becomes punitive on the customer. And also, we don't want to appear to be nickeling and diming our customers, especially if they had a large check. At the end of the meal, they may have requested a doggy bag to take out their leftovers. It wouldn't make sense to subsequently go back and charge a 10-cent fee. And you've seen this in other jurisdictions as well. All the local jurisdictions here that have similar ordinances have provided this exemption, as well as counties across the state. So for those reasons, we'd respectfully request an exemption for restaurants from this ordinance. Thank you.
That's everyone signed up. Is there anyone else who has any public comment with respect to County Ordinance 2506?
We've got one on Zoom and a few emails. I'll do Zoom first.
Yes.
Avenue, Queenstown, Maryland. Fantastic comments, but I am opposed to the ordinance. I am very supportive of reduction of plastic waste, environmental improvements, but I am concerned about legislation like this that starts with a tremendous number of carve-outs for different organizations and different uses of these bags. I think it's a little bit of a misnomer that these are all single-use bags, as many of my friends and family consider these multi-use bags, as you take them home from your shopping establishment and then repurpose them for other trash bags and actually get several uses out of these bags. I have some articles from USA Today and, more importantly, NPR that highlight from 2019 and then an article from 2024 that highlight that there are some increased environmental impacts from the production of reusable bags and that those bags also have increased time to degrade in landfills. I think it is unfair to charge a 10-cent fee on these paper bags. And maybe I'm just getting older, but these paper bags are not what they used to be when I was a kid. And you do not get the same sturdy bag nor the same size bag to use to bring home your merchandise. I applaud the partnerships between the county using the boat shrink wrap program, where private and public entities can come together and start making incremental improvements, and that's where my support would be, but I am opposed to the legislation as it is written. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate everybody's thoughtful comments. Have a good night.
Thank you.
And then we've got 3 people for the ordinance and then 7 people against. The people that are for mostly environmental reasons. And the people that are against, kind of saying the same general things, that groceries are already expensive as is. It's an inconvenience to carry these bags around. They don't want to have to pay more in taxes. Somebody else thinks that it shouldn't be on the government to enforce this. They should be focusing on the recycling infrastructure, not banning the bags specifically. Let the businesses choose which they would rather do. And another person thinks it's unnecessary. Those are it.
All right, and those emails will all be put into the record and given to the commissioners. All right, well, we'll vote on this in 2 weeks. Close it. Huh? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I appreciate all the work for and against that voice their concerns. Thank you.
Flip one for my gas can. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
All right.
Keep going. Let's roll.
All right, Commissioners, we're still in the legislative portion of our agenda tonight. So the next 4 items are text amendments that have come over from the Planning Commission. These were the citizen-sponsored text amendments, all for introduction. The first one we have is item number 4 in your books on page 144, County Ordinance 2503, an act concerning the maximum non-residential building height in the suburban commercial district.
I move to introduce and schedule a public hearing regarding text amendment County Ordinance 25-03.
Next.
I can go right through all of them if you
Yep, go
want.
right through.
Item number 5 is County Ordinance 2504, an act concerning the permitted uses in the airport protection in Kent Island Gateway District in Queen Anne's County.
I move to introduce and schedule a public hearing regarding text amendment County Ordinance 25-04.
All right.
Next.
Item number 6 on page 180, County Ordinance 2505, an act concerning indoor shooting ranges in Queen Anne's County.
I move to introduce and schedule a public hearing regarding text amendment County Ordinance 25-05.
All right. And lastly, item number 7, County Ordinance 2507, an act concerning the subdivision or reconfiguration of parcels from which development rights have been transferred.
I move to introduce and schedule a public hearing regarding text amendment County Ordinance 25-07. That's it.
All right, Commissioners, thank you very much. Stephanie Jones is here. Any questions on any of those? They've all come over from the Planning Commission, so I believe the hearings will be scheduled on June the 10th for those 4 bills. All right. All right. Thank you, Stephanie.
Have a good night.
Right. Okay, so next up we have presentations. So if you want to turn to tab number 6, our first presenter is Ms. Kathy Willis, the Director of... We certainly can.
She wants to read the proclamation.
No, she wants to do the proclamation for these. Yeah, we can do that. Let's turn to tab 6, item 2. We'll do proclamation 2518, motorcycle safety awareness.
She wants to kick you guys out.
So, yeah.
That's what I'm getting from this. You're making her a little nervous, that's all.
No, come on up, guys, come on up. You've been patiently waiting this evening for this proclamation, so come on up.
I thought they were here to testify on the bags.
No. This is our friends from ABATE of Maryland, Midshore chapter of Queen Anne's County. So we do this annually each year. So welcome, gentlemen and ladies. Good to see you. Yeah.
Welcome.
Proclamation 2518, item 2, page 2, tab 6.
I got it if you want me. So I just got to see these guys and ladies last week at Dorchester Counties when I was on my tour, so they didn't make them wait nearly this long. All right, so let's get them moving on. Proclamation 2518, whereas the Queen Anne's County Commissioners recognize the critical importance of safeguarding all individuals who traverse our roads and highways, and whereas Queen Anne's County proudly supports initiatives that promote motorcycle safety, education, and awareness within our community. And whereas motorcycles offer an efficient and economical means of transportation, contributing to reduced fuel consumption, minimized road wear, and the alleviation of traffic congestion and parking issues in our region. And whereas it is essential for every resident of Queen Anne's County and the state of Maryland to remain vigilant regarding the presence of motorcycles on our roads and to value the practice of safe motorcycling. And whereas the Midshore chapter of ABATE of Maryland Incorporated continues to serve our community by championing motorcycle safety, education, and public awareness. And whereas through cooperative efforts, all road users can help create safer travel conditions throughout Queen Anne's County and the state of Maryland, and now therefore we, the County Commissioners of Queen Anne's County, do hereby designate May 2025 as Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month in Queen Anne's County, and be it further resolved that all motorists and citizens are urged to join a unified effort to prioritize safety and raise awareness on our roadways.
I know.
Here.
Yeah.
Well done, Jack.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
And so we are going to get the grass speech, right?
Oh, I can give the grass speech, but I don't want to take up your time.
No, go ahead.
Why be different? Come
on.
on.
I'll start just real briefly. I'm Ken Eaton. I wear 2 hats. I'm the executive director for the state, and I'm the Midshore chapter director that covers Caroline, Dorchester, Queen Anne, and Talbot. We've been going around, and this is our 4th proclamation for the Midshore, so we finished you all that. I spent the day today.
Save the best for last.
That's right. I spent the day today at the MVA in Hagerstown. We had a motorcycle safety event, got the proclamation from the governor. They offer a fast-track licensing program all throughout May at the MVA branches, so that if you're riding and not licensed and you think you know all the ways to pass the test, we can get you through in one day and get you licensed. So we really appreciate the county making the proclamation. I did bring some people with me. I'd like to introduce Gloria is one of the residents here in Centerville, and she is one of the long-standing members of ABATE of Maryland. She's been seeing a lot of things happening in ABATE.
Welcome, Lori.
Eric here is also from Queen Anne's County. He does a lot of our stuff in and throughout the chapter. Mark takes care of Queen Anne's County for us, and Mike Mann is here. He's from Caroline County, but
don't hold it against me.
Nobody's
No.
He likes to hang out with her once in a while.
All right. We're friends with the Midshore. We're all good.
Yeah.
But thank you all very much, and we'll get out of your hair.
So, and
You ride with Larry Porter?
And real quick, because they did it at Dorchester,
Larry
is
Porter.
grass
Really?
clippings, people. Do not blow your grass
Yeah.
clippings on the road. They say this every year, but yet, again, I drove by just the other day on 313, and I look, and there it is all the way across the road. It's how hard is it just to keep your stuff in your yard? You know, it's
Slip and slide.
Yeah,
Delegates try to make
absolutely.
it law for that.
It's generally
too.
the state
It
highway
it is
contract.
against state law to do it, by the way.
Right, yeah.
So it's against the state law, so,
There are two codes, a criminal code and a transportation code to cover it, but
yeah.
Thank you.
And there's littering laws too, but you just
Wanna do a
heard what we
picture,
had
guys?
here about, so.
those laws up one day.
Yes.
Do it.
We got our photographer right back there. That's about it.
Slide down this way. Center with the room.
They gotta get the seal.
The right county. And don't forget it.
You see, Kathy, they weren't that scary.
Are you doing aging?
That'll go after the presentation.
Jim.
Jim can do that one, yeah.
Before or after?
All right, gentlemen, commissioners, we can move back to item 1. This is the Community Services Departmental Update, and we also have a proclamation 2515 for Older Americans Month. We have Kathy Willis and Annie Sparks
Which
here
everybody
this evening.
represents.
Presentation's up on the screen,
Good evening.
so take it away.
Thank you for having us
Yeah,
tonight. I know
six.
you have a long
It's on the
night,
screen,
so
up
we'll
here.
try to make this as brief as possible and let everybody else behind us go. So this is our annual update for the Department of Community Services, and tonight we're focusing on the Area Agency on Aging as it is Older Americans Month. We are celebrating what we celebrate every year, and you have a proclamation with the theme this year for 2025 of Flip the Script, which talks about changing how we perceive and portray and display aging and being more inclusive of folks that are in that area, so we don't, add any discrimination to the faults of aging. We want to place a much better view of how we treat our older population.
You keep looking at Jack when you say that.
Yes,
is what
I
I've
get it.
noticed.
I get it. I'm trying
You
to
know?
stop.
I've been scanning equally.
Uh-huh. I don't know. I'm feeling it too, Chris.
So anyway, if it would, we would appreciate if we could start with the proclamation.
Oh,
Uh-oh. Since Jim's
told
not
us she
here.
wanted it last, so.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Proclamation 25-15. Whereas the 2025 theme for Older Americans Month is Flip the Script on Aging, focuses on transforming how society perceives, talks about, and approaches aging. Whereas May is Older Americans Month, a time for us to recognize and honor Queen Anne's County's older adults and their immense influence on every facet of American society. And whereas through their wealth of life experience and wisdom, older adults guide our younger generations and carry forward abundant cultural and historical knowledge. Whereas older Americans improve our communities through intergenerational relationships, community service, civic engagement, and many other activities. Whereas communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds have the opportunity to participate and live independently. And whereas Queen Anne's County must ensure that older Americans have the resources and support needed to stay involved in their communities, reflecting our commitment to inclusivity and connectedness. And whereas, in the honor of Older Americans Month, Queen Anne's County's Area Agency on Aging will host the 20th Annual Senior Summit on Friday, May 16th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the 4-H Park in Centerville. Now, therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Queen Anne's County, do hereby proclaim May 2025 to be Older Americans Month.
You're here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm not going to read all of these statistics that are on the presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next slide and talk about the 60th anniversary of the Older Americans Act. Kind of ironic timing for a 60th anniversary when we've had a federal freeze in funds. So one of the things that we've really been focusing on, and I want you to be aware, it is affecting my department, as every department is being affected in the county, in the state, in the nation with these holding up of the federal funding. So currently, the Department of Aging is facing funding for this year that we were promised to get, but we've requested it, but we haven't been able to receive it. So the Health and Human Services Organization was split. American Community Living is what holds all of the Older Americans Act funding. So at this point, I am in a holding pattern to receive $200,000 that hasn't been paid to us. I'm supposed to have all in a nice little pocket by the end of this year. So fortunately, recently, the American Community Living and the Health and Human Services put out that they will be releasing, as of last week, they're going to start over the next couple of weeks to release over $30 billion of the funding that they've been holding on to. So we're expecting those monies to start coming in, but all of those monies are directly related to home-delivered meals, congregate meals, which are served in the senior center every day, family caregivers, whether it's payments for in-home services or supplies for somebody who remains at home, also preventative health services, everything that we're doing on a daily basis and we're putting out, we're not getting the funding for. And there's also concern of what's going to happen in FY26, the start of July 1st. So the State Department of Aging and my Association of Maryland Association of Area Agencies, all of us have been working very hard and advocating and lobbying to the congressional delegation. And I can tell you, as much lobbying as I've done for M4A over the years, it's never been to the extent that we've gone to the congressional delegation in this kind of mass force that I can ever recall. So I think we've made substantial strides in getting the word across, and now I'm not sure if you're aware, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the lead of that association, the Health and Human Services, right now, and they have come out just as of last week and stated that they will start to release the funds and they're going to support these older American services, which is a huge win for us, a huge positive step in the right direction, and we hope it keeps flowing that way. There's, we get accounts all the time of, oh, well, this has been leaked or that's been leaked and we're going to lose this much money or they're not going to cover this or that. But we're trying not to panic and we're trying to keep the advocacy as strong as possible so that we can move forward. Because if not, you're looking at so many people facing crisis with nutrition issues, socialization, all the programs that they come to the senior centers. So I just wanted you as a group and know how active we are remaining to keep all of these funds coming in, and we'll continue the support, and hopefully if there's anything we need from you, of course we'll ask. These are very important programs, and we're hoping that the Older Americans Act is reauthorized. That's something they push for every year, and there's just a lot going on. So we will keep you up to date, and just on this slide itself, it just gives you a couple of numbers about how much we actually serve. In 2024, we served 20,000 meals, over 20,000 meals to over 500 seniors. Without those those federal funds, we can't do that. I mean, we're very fortunate in Queen Anne's County, and I have to thank you that a lot of our funding, the majority of our funding comes from county. So, but there's matches, there's requirements, there's things, and for me to continue to pull in those federal funds, I appreciate that, but we still need those federal funds, you know. So there's a lot going on. We look forward to hopefully getting these monies released and partner monies from like, that even the health department experience, social services experience, we're all affected. Everybody is. So we have to be very, very advocating for continuing all of these funds, so.
And I apologize, I missed how much the funds were from the federal.
200,000?
Right now, I mean, we have a larger pot, a much larger pot that we're working on to present to Todd and Jeff about the total. So there's about $400,000 of federal funding that comes in to just these, what we call Title III programs. They're Older Americans Act. And we have submitted and requested, and we've received some of them, but we are still awaiting $200,000, and we're already in May of this fiscal year. Now, federal funds technically go till September 30th, but we work as well as we can on the county fiscal year, state fiscal year. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I know we'll keep in close contact with finance and keep everybody informed. So I'm encouraged and I'm hopeful, and I feel like this is a big step in the right direction, whereas a month ago I thought we might be at a loss for a lot of things. So we'll hope for that and stay with that. Now we're going to go into more of the positive, and I'll let Ann Sparks, our fearless chief, have the limelight. And I wanted to thank my staff here, Stacy and Steve, for being here on behalf of the senior centers and transportation, because the next couple of days this week are going to be tough on all of them, and we'll talk about all that.
All right, thank you, Kathy. So on the screen, you will see photos from our recent full staff meeting on May 1st. We did a SimSim training, and if you aren't familiar with that is, SimSim is short for Symphony, I can't say that word, simulation, having sympathy, sympathetic, there we go. It's a tongue twister. And it is an immersive sensory experience designed to enhance our understanding and compassion for elderly patients, residents, and neighbors. So we put on frailty suits and confront challenges that highlight the daily struggles faced by individuals living with aging-related conditions and dementia. It was a great experience. I recommend highly this training for anyone in the community or working in the field of aging. We do offer it to the public as well. We have a training, a SimSim training coming up in June at one of the senior centers, and that is full capacity right now, but we are still taking names on a wait list and for future trainings for anyone that may be interested. So we think that was hosted by Arcadia Living, and thanks for grant funding that we received from Maryland Department of Aging for long-term care dementia navigator program on that as well. And then next up, I know it's a long evening, so I think it's time for a commercial break.
Step back in time to the roaring 20s, where the fun never ends. Join us for the 20th Annual Senior Summit, a celebration of aging, resources, and community.
Need resources for aging, disabilities, or caregiving? We've got you covered. Meet new friends, connect with experts, and enjoy a day just for you.
Plus enjoy food, entertainment, and even a little bingo.
Mark your calendar, Friday, May 16th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Don't miss the Senior Summit. See you there.
right, you know what that means. It's Senior Summit Week. And it is Spirit Week. It's Patriotic Day, hence the red, white, and blue. Everyone's checking their fits, see how they did. And tomorrow is Pajama Day, so if you have a late night tonight and want to just roll out of bed with your pajamas, feel free. And then Thursday is Sports Day, followed by our Senior Summit with the Roaring 20s. And that theme is because it is our 20th year of Senior Summits. We're very proud of that and all the staff that have been involved over the years creating that and making it happen. We will have about 68 sponsors and vendors this year, this Friday, May 16th, 9 to 2. It is a free event at the 4-H Park. It is great for older adults, caregivers, individuals with disabilities, so anyone in the community is welcome to come out and celebrate with us. And then on to our next slide to change topics a little bit.
Changing topics a little bit, I wanted to share the YMCA outdoor pool that is being built as we speak. Now, we have actual concrete in that pool now to the right. It is moving along, and it's slated to be opened on June 15th. So we're looking forward to that, and with our continuing partnership with the Y, and thanks to your support of the Y, we're very excited. And on the left end of that photo there, there's also going to be, it's already started to be constructed like a bathhouse with also a roof and a pavilion type area. So it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful setup. We're very excited and looking forward to it. So,
Is it something that you could access without going through the building?
yes,
So you'll be able to just pull up.
Park around back.
yes, there's parking right behind that. They've added the parking. It'll be on both sides, so they'll be able to go right to that. And I think it's going to be fantastic. It's pretty huge. It'll be a 6-lane lap pool.
So how do they check them in there, Kathy? If that's the case.
Not totally sure of that, but they'll be, it'll be gated, so.
Oh, okay. So there will be a means of getting in. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Are they doing
So-
a ribbon cutting for that, do you know?
I should certainly expect that.
I think we should
I
County
had a message
Administrative
for
Mod
you.
should be the first one to jump in the pool, I think. At the
Well,
ribbon
I
cutting.
did have a message.
And to check IDs.
From Daryl for you, Todd, that the race would happen again for this pool, because if you recall, when we opened the pool inside, there was a race that happened that day, a lap race.
Yeah.
With some very important people, one of which is here, and there will be a race.
I didn't get this story.
Oh, I was there, I have
He did not
photos.
invite us to that, did you
No,
notice
man,
that? I
he
think he
would on
kept
this
us
one.
away.
Hey, just show up there at 5:30 in the morning. You can see it
no.
every day. It's there every day doing it. Don't worry. It replays every morning.
So we're excited, we're looking forward, we hope people will come and bring their families and enjoy it for the summer. So it's a little later than we thought, but I think it was May, and now it was gonna be June, so,
It's a
they've
little
made
cool right
great-
now anyway, so.
Yeah, they've made great progress, so we're
Yeah.
very much looking forward to it, so. And that's really our update for tonight.
Awesome.
Excellent. There you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I,
Thank you, guys.
see you Friday, too.
Yes, we'll be there.
Can I mention something?
Yes, sir.
First off, thank you. Appreciate it. I was at a event the other day, and someone walked up to me and said, we're looking at doing a memory care facility in Queen Anne's County. And I said, how many units are you looking at? And they said about 40. And I said, where? Of course, in Sudlersville. So I gave them your name,
Perfect.
and I thought, wow, they want to invest in our county. And I really like that idea, especially up county. So I didn't go into any detail with them about size or
No, we'll look
assume
forward to
it was
hearing from them.
apartments, but
It's very much needed.
yes.
So, and that's part of the SimSim training that we had. She's an assisted living owner and has facilities across the bridge, has them here and in Caroline County and Talbot County now. And she does memory care and stuff within her units, and it's essential. And the reason we had the training is to put all of our staff from maybe experienced social workers who have been through this all the way to the bus drivers, the kitchen staff, whoever, so that they can experience, and the housing division, now the housing authorities with us, we're pulling them in to train on the disabilities that these folks are experiencing every day. Because when we're here and we're working with someone, you have to be empathetic. You have to understand. And until you stand in their shoes, and that's literally what we did. I had huge shoes on that I couldn't walk in. I had glasses on that had film on them so you could hardly see. You had weights around your neck. We had rubber gloves and gardening gloves over them so you couldn't pick up stuff. And then when we went into the simulation room, we had headphones on that muffled so you couldn't hear. It was a challenge, and I would encourage anybody to try it. It was amazing, very eye-opening for a lot of people.
So it is 40, would they have trouble?
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of units. So they may not be able to rent all
Well,
those.
it all
or-
depends. There's a lot of, there's regulations and zoning, and there's, a lot of things that would be considered. But we have all that, so. Very good.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
All right, Commissioners, our final presentation this evening is also tab 6, item 3. And we have the Mr. Roy Geiser, CPA, the Managing Director of for the annual comprehensive financial report review. All right, UHY, yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
With our finance team, Mr. Jeff Frank, Chief of Budget and Finance.
I know accounting is boring, but the crowd thinned out a little bit
Yeah.
since when I first got here out in the hallway.
All right.
I am Roy Geiser, partner with UHY, auditor, partner for the audit. This is the June 30, 24 audit we're talking about. I did want to thank Todd, Jeff, Nicole, and Justine for always having everything ready for us when we come in. That way we can focus on getting the audit done timely and efficiently. I did, while I was sitting back there, I just thought of this. So you did get the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in 2023, which was the 25th year. So I thought that was a great achievement, and that is the highest level standard of governmental financial reporting you can get. So that's pretty good news. I anticipate that happening again for 24. Page 14, I'm going to go very high level. I like these to be kind of somewhat informal, so if you have any questions, just feel free to time out and ask me them at that time. But on page 14 of your audit report, of the financial report, is your audit opinion. This is what you pay us for. It's an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion. So what that means is these financials, as presented, are free of any material misstatement. Moving on to page 34 of your financial report is the statement of net position. So the statement of net position takes all your funds, puts them together. You have a governmental fund, you have the business type activities fund. And what I always like to focus on is your net position, which if you're looking at the page, it's on the bottom right. So net position is broken out into 3 different categories. Net investment in capital assets was $238 million. We're sitting in one of them. Restricted, and it can be for a variety of things.
I'm sorry, what page are you on?
Page 34.
34.
I am the little numbers, not the big numbers. You know what I mean? It's a number that,
Okay. Which is page 15. So that's all.
In your book, yeah, page 34.
Start again.
Okay, so page 34, restricted net position is $32 million, and then unrestricted is $79 million. Moving on to page 36 and 37, this is your statement of net position. This tells you how you get from the prior beginning of the year net position of $320 million. The net position went up by $29 million for the year, and that's how we ended the year at $349 million. Remember, net position, the reason we focus on net position, because if that's trending upward, that can mean financial health. If it's trending downward, that can mean financial deterioration. And remember, don't look at it year to year, kind of look at it as a trend over a period of time. And at the end of this, I'll talk about where we were 10 years ago and where we are today. Page 44 is your statement of revenue, expenses, and changes in net position. So this is your enterprise funds, and the one thing I always like to focus on here is enterprise funds by their very definition are the idea is they're supposed to operate on their own. They're not supposed to get any, in theory, not supposed to get any supplement from property taxes or something. So I always look at operating income or loss. The sanitary district had an operating income of 2.6 million. Airport had a minor loss of 740,000, and the non-major funds and combined had a minor loss, operating loss of 79,000. So what that means is, in the sanitary district in particular, your rates that you're charging are enough to cover the annual operating cost for that year. Next, I'll go on to page 100. Remember, within these financial statements, you have three significant liabilities that are very long-term liabilities. One of them is the Maryland pension. Remember, so your staff sends all our census information up to the state. The state gathers all that information for the state and also cities and towns, municipalities and counties around. They grind out the actuarials, grind it out, and then they send you back your piece. So your piece of the pie, your net pension liability is $45 million, which is 70% funded. And again, that's at the state level. So 70% funded has been held there for some time now. So that's your net pension liability. The next big liability you have is your OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits. So that's when somebody retires from the county, just very broad umbrella view. When somebody retires, it's health insurance. And that net OPEB liability is 30 million, which is 42% funded. So what that means is the total liability, you have 42% of that already funded. The final piece is your LOSAP, which is your length of service award program, which is basically the volunteer fireman pension plan. And that is that net LOSAP liability is 11 million, which is 0% funded. So the total liability is 11 million. We have no money set aside in a trust for that, so it's still at 11 million. Finally, we'll go to page 174, and this is the beauty of the ACFR, the GFOA certificate. It's one of the things that are required that you've done for the last 25 years, and it has historical information in the back. And on page 174 and 175, that shows you that historical information. And then we started the presentation with where our net position was at the end of this year. Well, this goes back 10 years to 2015. So back in 2015, our total net position was 164 million. Fast forwarded to 2024, we're at 340 million. And if you look at that each year, it's trending in the right direction. So I always get asked, all right, that's great, you talked a lot, but how are we financially? And I think you can say that the county has been trending in financially in a healthy trajectory. So that's a lot of work, probably a 200-page document broken down into 5 minutes maybe. And then I know you guys had a long night, so very high level. The other things that we have, and you don't have it in front of you, is we do have one thing I am required to communicate to those charged with governance, so you gentlemen sitting here and late, there's a couple things I have to talk to you about. So in the audit, there was no new accounting policies implemented. Your key estimates within these financial statements is depreciation expense. We talked about the OPEB pension and LOSAP liability, very long-term liability that actuarials crunch for us. A lot of assumptions go into that. We have some leases. That was a relatively new standard about 2 years ago. And then some GASB 96 subscription assets. That's also a key estimates within these financials. We had no difficulties in performing the audit. We had no disagreements with management. So that's the required communications to you guys. The last piece in audit communications, we had a couple little comments and recommendations in there. Nothing significant. It's just, as you know, we see a lot of different things. So as we see maybe some ways for improving or efficiencies, we'll let staff know. We've already talked to them about that. So that's it. Any questions?
You have any questions?
No, life is good.
All good news.
Yes, good news.
And for the 25 audit, we'll probably reach out here in the next week or two and start getting prelim going. So we'll set up prelim usually in late May, June. Then we usually kick off, I don't know, what, September sometime? Yeah, September will come out and get done.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to recognize those ladies back there, Justine and Nicole. They do all the heavy lifting back there when it comes to the audit, so thank you very much, and it's great to get those awards. Yeah. Yep. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Roy.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys.
All right, Commissioners, we can move to Department of Public Works, tab 2. We have 2 items for Public Works this evening. The first one, item 1, pages 1 through 5, is the draft annual letter, the priority letter for Maryland Transportation. Our projects that we send up to the Secretary of Transportation for your review, pretty similar to last year. So,
And the year before that.
and the year before that.
And
But we're
the
making
last
progress.
10
I mean,
20 years before that.
yeah, NEPA 2's almost finished. That was one of our top priorities, so we're making progress. So,
But that's something that has a clock on it. The rest of them require funding.
that's true.
Even that one's going to require funding eventually, so.
Yes, so actually, within the letter, Steve Cahoon, Department of Public Works, Public Facilities Planner, within the priority letter, we made an adjustment from asking them to quickly complete the NEPA study to actually looking at design, engineering, and funding those next steps. We haven't heard about those, and we want to encourage them to move forward with those steps. Our ramp management project, the commissioners held a town hall very recently on the summer of 2024 and summer of 2025. It was successful last year. We're going to implement it again this year. It's a partnership with MDOT, and it has worked out well. We'll continue to look for improvements on Maryland 18 between Castle Marina Road and the Kent Narrows. We continue to monitor the safety improvements on 301, especially at the intersection of 405. You recall after our priority letter last year, SHA went out there, made some safety improvements, and we are keeping an eye on those to see if the situation is improving. We also continue work to expand our bike network, especially working with MDOT SHA, looking at a feasibility study for a pedestrian overpass over US 5301. That feasibility will be starting soon and be conducted over the next about 6 months. We are also request that MDOT move forward with construction of the US 50 and Maryland 213 interchange. Also continue to support our local transit efforts. And then as the Chesapeake Bay passenger ferry is a new addition to our priority letter. We want to support that effort as other counties on the shore are, and throughout the state are. We have been part of that study and part of that process, and we want to show MDOT that we support that moving forward. And then just regionally, we do work well with our state and county partners, and we want to continue that. But yes, very similar to previous letters.
Can I get a motion?
I move that the county commissioners approve and execute the 2025 priority letter to the Maryland Department of Transportation.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Who's doing the feasibility study for the Route 50?
The county is working with the Baltimore Metropolitan Council to do the study, and the Baltimore Metropolitan Council is hiring the consultant, and the consultant is RK&K.
Same firm that's doing the Bay Crossing study as well, so their efforts will dovetail nicely with our efforts for the pedestrian crossing.
Won't make it too narrow, right?
That's right.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any other discussion? All's in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We're good. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Okay, item 2 is first we need to convene as the Sanitary Commission, please.
Motion to convene as sanitary.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 2 is a Public Works Agreement for Land Bridge LLC, trading as Living Waters subdivision. This is a water and sewer allocation Public Works Agreement for 10 new lots just on the south side of Bay City.
Get a motion?
I move to execute the Public Works Agreement with Land Bridge LLC to allow them to construct a 10-lot residential subdivision and connect an existing home.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thanks for your patience this evening as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, moving into action items, we have several action items for your consideration tonight. But first, we have item 1, character count spotlight for May of 2025, the United Way of Queen Anne's County. So,
Jim,
Jim,
you have that?
that's page 1, tab 3.
I got
Character
it.
counts.
I do have it.
Okay.
All right.
Queen Anne's County Commissioners Character Count Spotlight for May 2025. The Character Counts pillar celebrated in May is caring. This pillar is rooted in kindness, gratitude, and compassion. Tonight, we'd like to recognize the United Way of Queen Anne's County. The stated mission of the United Way of Queen Anne's County is to improve lives by mobilizing the caring power of our community. Since their establishment in 1990, they've done just that by raising and distributing over $2 million. In the current fiscal year, they have granted funds to 18 agencies in Queen Anne's County supporting health and human services, children's programs, and the arts. Some of their partners include Chester Y Center, Compass Regional Hospice, Giving the Edge Foundation, For All Seasons Behavioral Health, and Haven Ministries. The United Way of Queen Anne's County raises funds by holding community events such as Crab Feast, quarter auctions, and an annual golf tournament. Members of their board also volunteer in the community in other ways, and several dedicate time as coaches for our very own character counts. If you are interested in learning more about the United Way of Queen Anne's County, or even giving information about how you can become a board member yourself, visit the Queen Anne's County Character Counts website at www.peopleofcharacter.org and check out the spotlight page, or go directly to www.unitedwayqueenannescounty.org. Also, reach out to Character Counts to nominate a worthy business, nonprofit, or individual in the county exemplifying one or all of the 6 pillars of character for a future spotlight recognition. Bada bing.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Moran. Well done. All right. Item number 2 is a Rural Legacy and Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program Agreement for sale of the Island Creek Farm LLC. This is for 200 and almost 10 acres of property owned by Island Creek Farm. The agreement is ready to be submitted to the Maryland Department of Natural Resources for review and final approval. No county funds are being utilized, and this will add to the Land's End Rural Legacy area, which now includes over 5,100 acres of preserved property.
Boom. I make a motion to approve the Rural Legacy and CREP easement agreement of sale and project agreements for the Island Creek Farm LLC property.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Wait, let's move on.
No solar on that?
And it is waterfront. It is. Beautiful property. Yep. All right. Keep them coming. All right. Thank you both. All right.
See you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks.
All right, Commissioners, item 3 on page 24. This is a new health insurance plan option. So Beverly here has been working with Bolton and Care First to provide the government, our workers, and the school system with lower cost health plan programs tied to the health center. And this program will actually allow for Marathon to have a new program that will lower the cost. The only catch is you have to make them your primary care provider and do an annual physical. So it helps to maintain our healthy lifestyle and our workforce. So pretty straightforward. So it's a way to save money and support Marathon Health
I
going
move
forward.
that the Director of Human Resources work with Bolton and Care First to develop and implement the Marathon Health Plan effective September 1st, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any questions?
Everybody? Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners. And thank you, Beverly.
Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you, Beverly.
Item 4, On pages 25 through 41, this is the Bay Bridge Run Memorandum of Understanding with the Maryland Transportation Authority and with Corrigan Sports. We have two agreements, one with each entity. The races this year is planned for November 9th, 2025.
I move that we approve, sign the MOU between Corrigan Sports and Queen Anne's County, as well as the MOU between MDTA and Queen Anne's County that will allow the county to facilitate that Bay Bridge Run event on November 9th.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Item 5 on pages 42 and 43 is a request for a letter of support for the North County Library grant match. The library is seeking a letter of support to match funds received from the State Library Program in fiscal 27 for the design costs for the North County branch, and I believe that's going to be in the old Sudlersville Middle School up in Sudlersville. So this is an FY27 project, and we will have to commit matching funds of $65,000 again in FY27. So this is an FY27 request.
If they get the grant.
If they get the grant. Well, I
Move to execute the letter of support for State Library Capital Grant Program for North County Branch.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Can I ask a favor? I've been approached probably a half a dozen times in the last year, and I just keep forgetting to ask you. Is there a way that we can have more room for the historical significance of Ken Island and Queen Anne's in the library? Meaning, is there any way that we can offer our historical records, our historical documents, our archaeology pieces more room in the library?
There is
Please?
a small workroom in the Ken Island
Yep.
branch that has all the Maryland historical stuff in it.
So is all of our Queen Anne's County
I don't know if it's all of the
Put
Queen
out.
Anne's County.
put
but
out? Could we look
certainly
into
have
that?
rooms in both branches that are local history, and we can
Right.
certainly, if there's more that needs to come to the library, we can certainly work with you to get
Okay,
that.
thank you. Would there be a way to check to see if there's stuff already there? And could you let me know? Thank you.
I will.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Janet. All right, Commissioners, items 6, 7, and 8 are also requests of letters of support. This is from our Sheriff's Office. One's for a maritime safety grant, one's for a tactical rescue drone, and a Bearcat tactical rescue vehicle for regional response. And we put these together with our grant writing firm with the sheriff. So you can make 3 motions on those if you like.
You can make one motion. For
Motion
all.
to support the 3 letters for the Sheriff's Department for the Maritime Safety Grant, Tactical Rescue Drone, and the Bearcat Tactical Rescue Vehicle.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Keeps the grant money coming in, right?
Motion
Can I
carries.
operate the drone?
Certainly. That's a really cool program. They use those drones to do surveillance and fly into buildings, and
Spy
it's
drones.
it's
Yes.
really cool, yeah. All right, our final item for tonight, Commissioners, is a request for a letter of support for Daycare Inc., and this is for their roof replacement project that they are seeking a grant application to secure funding for that replacement at the facility here in Centerville.
Move to execute the letter of support for Daycare Inc.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Round table? Wait, do we have any, no, there's nobody online, no press and public comment? Round table. Jack?
We've said enough tonight.
All right, Patrick?
Jack goes, oh my God,
looking
he's
at
got
me
to
like
say
he's
something.
nothing to say.
Some of us get up at 3 to go to work, so.
We had a very important meeting on the Conowingo Dam with Army Corps of Engineers, MDE, and Constellation, and it's in a decade or two. It's the first time that all 3 of them have been in a room to work out if it's possible to dredge the dam. And we do know one thing, there's lots of mycotoxins that the doctor was talking about during the discussion that are coming from the dam. Plus, I talked with Mr. Director, a lot of that mycotoxins, and we agree on that, that is being consumed by people is coming through the wastewater treatment plants. Not that they're consuming that, but they're coming through plastic bottles. Thank you.
Jim?
Nada.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. We're out of here. Thank you.